Somebody to Love, with a very gospel-sounding choir. Freddie, was that choir built up in the same way as you did on Bohemian Rhapsody?
In a way, yes. I mean, we had the same three people singing on the big choir sections, but I think it had a different kind of technical approach, because, I mean, it was a sort of gospel way of singing, which I think was different to us. And this is me sort of going on about Aretha Franklin, and sort of made him go a bit mad. I just wanted to write something in that kind of thing. I was sort of incensed by the sort of gospel approach that she had on her albums, and the earlier albums. Although it might sound the sort of same kind of approach on, say, the harmonies, it is very different in the studio, because it's sort of like a different kind of, it's a different range.
Can we come now to the territories in which you're very enormous? I understand you're huge in Japan. Can we hear about...
Sounds as if you swell up as soon as you arrive there.
So that's sake, yes. Well, tell us about Japan. Why Japan? I know Freddie sings in Japanese, right?
Not all the songs.
Only on one song, yeah. I mean, that was more of a tribute,
after,
I think.
That was a long time after, really.
You know, Japan really caught on to us fairly early on.
Queen 2, I think, was the big one they picked up on, really, wasn't it?
And we knew that there was a sort of demand for us there, and so we sort of tagged it on to the end of an American tour. We had a holiday in Hawaii, and then it was sort of logical. So we went there, and we arrived at the airport and suddenly realised it was on a scale different to that which we'd imagined, because there were thousands of people there just to welcome us, you know, and normally you just don't get that sort of thing anywhere. We've had 2 really amazing tours in Japan since then. They sort of seem to have taken us to their hearts, and I think we've had some influences from them, especially Brian, I think.
Which brings me to the next one. I mean, how do you get on when you're not on stage? Do you all mix together, or do you all go off your separate ways?
I don't know, it's hard to, a bit of both, really.
In America, we have a limousine each. We just, at the moment we finish, just get into that and do our own bit.
Go to 4 corners of the town.
So it is that.
It really depends. I mean, if there's a reception later on or whatever.
Depends, actually, yeah. We've grown apart a bit more, you know. But, I mean, we don't hate each other yet, which I think quite a lot of other bands do.
Well, this is very apt, this next title, because it's Let Us Cling Together, or... Now, Freddie, you pronounce it for me.
Teo Toriate.
Teo Toriate. Brian, this is a very reflective, quiet song, which contrasts rather with the next song, which is Tie Your Mother Down. How can we get 2 such opposite songs on the same album?
I don't know. We do tend to be attracted by opposites, if that's the right way of putting it. We tend to, if we go a long way in a particular direction, we tend to like to go equally far in the opposite direction. I think we still feel that we're kind of doing our apprenticeship in that we can try out anything that comes into our heads. If a song comes along and suggests a certain approach, you've written down reflective approach here, okay, then we'll follow that to its extreme, and at the same time, if another song comes up which is the heavy kind of stuff, then we'll follow that to its extreme. And I think that's one of our strong points internally.
We're not scared of trying out different ideas, you know. I think one of the things that we really steer clear of is trying to sort of repeat the same formula.
The old thing of light and shade, really,
yes.
which all the best rock bands have had on stage. I mean, the rock bands which have the most impact are the people who can do a slow song and then flatten the whole place with a complete contrast. That's what gets me, anyway. If somebody comes on stage and blasts 12 Bar Blues all night, then there comes a point, I think, where it sags in the middle. Although I love it. I mean, I love hard rock well played, and I think it's the hardest thing to do in some ways. But the way to do it is not to sort of rock and roll all night, as far as I'm concerned. It's to do everything in its right place.
Well, let's have Tie Your Mother Down.
Get your party down and get your big tail down and get your heart beat, baby.
Tie Your Mother Down. From A Day at the Races. Can we talk about your manager, John Reid, at the moment? He also manages Elton John, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
He's very successful. Good manager.
Well,
I think good management is pretty vital. Yeah.
It is.
In fact, it's totally vital.
Especially, say, for a band that's sort of starting up. I mean, they need the guidance and things. So good managers.
And you need somebody to take at least some of the worries away, that aren't to do with the music, away from you.
But we're a very difficult group to manage. We demand a lot.
Let us progress in this one. Now, there have been incorrect newspaper reports, I believe, that you were about to decamp for the States because of tax reasons. Roger, can we go on that one? How did that occur?
Well, it was basically, it must have been something that I said. But it was... It was certainly... it was taken completely wrongly, whatever it was I said. I certainly didn't say we were going off to America tomorrow, which was how the article came out. It's something that we might do in the future, but definitely in the future. Certainly not tomorrow, or even next month, or the month after.
But we are going to America for a tour.
Yes, we're going for a tour, but we're not leaving England yet.
I see, but they took it as though you were...
becoming tax exiles.
Becoming tax exiles, that was how it's written up, yes. It really was.
Live abroad, yeah.
What I gathered from what it said, I mean, you often... You do an interview, which is why we've learnt not to do many, and you sort of read it back and you think, good God, was I there? And
Really?
people just sort of tend to turn things round to say what they really want to say, you know, whether it be the politics of one particular newspaper. The article will sound as they want to sound it, or the editor wants it to sound, as opposed to the interviewee.
Now, when you say something, somebody slaps a writ on you or sues you, can't you then sue them?
It depends. I'd rather go around and smack him in the teeth, personally. But I haven't had any writs served on me.
Well, that sounds the old-fashioned way to do it, which brings us to good old-fashioned Love a Boy.
Corny.
Hey boy, where'd you get it from? Hey boy, where did you go? I learned my passion in the good old-fashioned school of Love a Boys.
There were 4 songs on the EP, but it was priced at the price of a single, I believe. Why was this?
We just wanted to give something that was sort of quite good value, and that was a good sort of sample of one track from the last 4 albums, I think.
Went into the top 20 June 77, so was it for the Jubilee? Was this a special...
Not really, I don't think.
I think it was. We wanted something released to coincide with the tour that we were doing at the time, and as we didn't have any new product, because I mean the way we did it this time was we did a tour and then we were going to go in the studio and do the new album.